Hello again, class. Here's the last video lesson for today's lesson on 6.6 vertex form. What we have is, right now we just have a bunch of information, and we want to put this information into an equation that will work in every single case involving this information. So what we have, the directions say, write an equation for the parabola containing the following points. So we know that my vertex, if we were to put this on a graph, just to give us a little picture of what this looks like, we know that our parabola has a vertex of left 1, up 4, so something like right there. And it says it goes through the point 2, 1. So it goes through, let's say, something like that. Okay? This is all we know right now. Okay? We know it goes something like this. We don't know how wide it is or how skinny it is, whatever. We just know that it goes something like that, and then forming the rest of the parabola. What I want to find out is the equation that works for this point, the equation that satisfies this point, as well as an infinite number of points that goes all the way down to the left and all the way down to the right. We want an equation that satisfies all of those. So the way we do that, not too difficult. Our equation for this, for vertex form, is y equals a times the quantity x minus h quantity squared plus k. Now our x and y in our answer, they're going to remain unknown because x and y represent an infinite number of ordered pairs. So what we want to find out is we want to find out a, we want to find out h, and we want to find out k. Once we do all that, we are completely done. So here's the question. Do we know what h and k are? Hopefully you say yes. H and k are always the vertex. So guess what, class? 2/3 of our work is already done. We already know what h and k are. The x coordinate, h is a -1. The k coordinate, or the y coordinate, which is k, is 4. So all we need to find now is a. Now, if you know h and you know k, and you know one ordered pair out of the infinite number on a parabola that there are, if you know one of them, you can substitute the x coordinate in there and the y coordinate in right there. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 variables. And you know 1, 2, 3, 4 of those variables. If there is one unknown, can you solve for that variable? Absolutely you can, right? All we have to do is solve for a once we substitute in 2 and 1 for x and y. So follow me very closely. We're going to use this formula. Y. What is y? Y is the y coordinate of a point that it passes through. So in this case, it is 1. So 1 equals a. We don't know what a is. That's what we're trying to find. Times the quantity, x. Do you know what x is? Yes, x is the x coordinate of the point that it passes through. So it is 2 minus whatever h is. What is h? H is the x coordinate of the vertex. So it is a -1. That quantity squared plus k. K is the y coordinate of the vertex. So it would be 4. So hopefully all those numbers make sense to you. I'll go through them one more time. X and y is a point that it passes through. So x is 2, that goes in there. That's how we got this point. Y is the y coordinate of the point that it passes through. So that is why this 1 goes here, which is right here. And then h and k is the vertex. So a -1, that goes right here. And 4 is the k value, and that goes in there. And never forget, our equation is x minus h. So to have this negative sign in there, it's 2 minus a -1. So don't forget that either. And now all we have to do is get a all by itself. So the first thing I would do is I would subtract 4. So now we would get a -3. That equals a times, well, this 2 minus a -1 turns into 2 plus 1. So this is 3 now, and 3 squared is 9. So a -3 equals a times 9. To get a all by itself, divide by 9, and there you have it. Your a value is a negative 3/9, which is a negative 1/3. So now, class, your directions weren't solve for A. Your directions were write an equation for the parabola. And we're going to write it into vertex form. So our vertex form, as a reminder, y equals A times the quantity x minus h quantity squared plus k. So x and y are going to remain unknown in our equation because that represents an infinite number of points. Y equals A. A we found to be a negative 1/3 times the quantity x minus the x coordinate. So x minus a minus 1. X minus a minus 1 is x plus 1. So again, kind of going back to when you put it in the parentheses, you also have to take the opposite. The x coordinate is a negative 1. So what's the opposite of a negative 1? It would be this x plus 1. That quantity squared plus k, whatever k is, and k is 4. So this is your answer. This represents an infinite number of points that the parabola goes through instead of just this one. So if you were to put this into your calculator now, you would get a parabola that looks like this. It represents the information. These red dots right here, the top one is obviously the vertex. It's at left 1 up 4. And then this point right here is the point that it passed through that it gave us, right 2 up 1. But as you can see, now that we have the equation, we actually have the graph that gives us an infinite number of points that satisfies the equation. So this is the answer that I'm looking for. Circle that one and move on to your next one. You guys try the next one on your own. Pause the video, please. As you unpause the video, hopefully you wrote down this equation. That helps me out a lot when I strategize on what I need to find. Y equals A times the quantity x minus h quantity squared plus k. I know that my graph passes through the y coordinate of 4. So 4 equals A, which I need to find. My x coordinate that it passed through is 3. 3 minus whatever my h value was, which is the x coordinate of the vertex. 1, quantity squared, plus my k value, which my k value is 2. And now we simply solve for A. Subtract 2 from both sides. We have 2 equals A times 3 minus 1 equals 2. And 2 squared is 4. So my A value, when I divide by 4, I get A to equal 2/4, which is a positive 1/2. So my equation, y equals A times the quantity x minus h quantity squared plus k. Y equals my A value of 1/2 times x minus 1 quantity squared plus my k value, which my k value is 2. Once again, class, this is your answer. If you wanted to plot this on a graph, you would now get a parabola. It would open up. Your center is at right 1 up 2. There it is, right 1 up 2. And then your A value is 1/2. So instead of going right 1 up 1, right 1 up 3, here's what your parabola would look like if your A value was 1. But if it's 1/2, it's less than 1, so it's going to be a wider parabola. It's going to go out this way instead. All right, that's the lesson for today. I hope that all made sense to you. If you ever see one that looks like this, we're always used to seeing y. That's a bad color to use. We're always used to seeing y equals x squared minus 2x plus 5, something like that. We have learned how to do things like this. I haven't taught you how to do this yet. So what I want you to do is I want you to save these for tomorrow, okay? Just do y equals x squared ones, not x equals y squared equations, okay? So save those for tomorrow. If you ever see them on a worksheet or Excel math, don't do that until you've watched the video on how to. So for your homework, you have a worksheet, 6.6a, and you have one objective, objective number 84. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'll be available before school, after school. Ask me in class. Let me know if you ever need further understanding on how to do these concepts.